Okay, of course, this is The Way of Abiding by Longchen. Put it together in the 1300s, and it's essentially the backbone of Dzogchen in many ways. And we'll just go right into the root verses again, because now we're on the theme of pure presence still, but we're embracing the larger scope. It says, now all phenomenon are timelessly embraced within supreme spontaneous presence. First, everything is embraced within the purity of spontaneous presence. Now, before we get into the root verse here, let's just again notice how within your visual field, without focusing on anything, everything is embraced. All objects are purely present. Even your eyeballs. The seeing is purely present in all the objects that are seen. And we can do this for all the sense experiences. So the head, the ears, the hearing consciousness is in presence. And like that, nothing ever leaves presence. So the root verses say, all phenomena are embraced within the larger scope of spontaneous presence. The entire world of appearances and possibilities is naturally manifest and spontaneously present. All samsara and nirvana is spontaneously present as the display, and awakened mind is timelessly and spontaneously present. So all phenomena are nothing other than spontaneous presence. See, you're getting a bunch of spontaneous presence gifted to you. And the auto commentary on these root verses goes on to say, the entire universe of appearances and possibilities is spontaneously present as the natural manifestation of mind, just as the naturally manifest appearances of the dream state are spontaneously present. Now, maybe you can correlate a little bit here. Remember when you were dreaming, and yes, it seems like there's time. It seems like maybe you walked down a path and it seemed like there were 5 steps, but at no time was your mind leaving pure presence. It didn't actually go into any time. Time is also held, or none other than pure presence. And remember, presence a lot of times gets associated with the cognizant aspect. So if this whole reality right now was just like a dream, there would be 3 main aspects: the space, the mind that's making the dream, and the product of the mind, the co-emergent, purely present product. So if I'm saying tree, on a lucid level, there's a tree appearing in a space. Those are the 3 kayas in union: essence, nature, and responsiveness. So this empty space is responding to anything that I'm thinking. And that's why your thoughts are hugely important to people. For thousands and thousands of years, kingdoms and rulers, plutocrats, and you name it, they have been very, very interested in what you think and how you think it. And in this way, we tend to get subscribed into somebody else's or other people's sort of collectives, and we become collaborators in that collective as well. When we subscribe to our desire, our ignorance, our anger, uh, we say, okay, I have ignorance and I have a desire for something, so I'm going into a karmic collective and I'm going to help you build this. And you can notice yourself building samsara within a collective. That's why, as an awareness practitioner, when you stop building, you unsubscribe, you throw in a white towel, you quit, you hand in your resignation, you stop building. And it's a huge benefit to the whole collective, all beings. And by the way, back in the day, I think what they call the lokas, these realms, the 6 realms, were a little bit more separated. nowadays I feel like you can see people in their own minds stuck in hell. You can see beings that are very, very wealthy and powerful. And back in the day, 1,000 years ago, you may not have seen these people at all. So it may have been more divided up, these 6 realms, but everything is getting contracted now. The forests are turning into cities. All the information, even the people, are consolidating. For example, the internet, suburbs, things are getting tighter. It's getting more solidified. So it makes sense that the 6 realms are here among us, and apparent. But anyway, awareness itself, the nature of mind permeates the space and permeates the responsiveness. So the tuji energies, they're called tuji in Tibetan. And, if your mind's dreaming up an entire forest, that's your tuji energy. That's your mind's only responding to what you're thinking. You keep thinking about a forest, but the forest is being created in the Dharmakaya space. It's like that. Any questions about that part? All good. So all phenomenon of samsara nirvana arise spontaneously as the display that comes from the dynamic energy of awareness, just as lights of 5 colors shine from a crystal. Oh, that's a beautiful line right there. All phenomenon of samsara and nirvana arise spontaneously as the display that comes from the dynamic energy. We could even say all phenomenon are the dynamic energy of awareness. If you have a problem with that, just let me know. We can discuss it. But they seem to go back and forth. Sometimes Nirmanakaya gets called the responsiveness. Sometimes it gets termed the energy itself. I would say Sambhogakaya is behind the energy, determining the energy or not. So, but it says it comes from the dynamic energy of awareness, just like lights of 5 colors shine from a crystal. So the crystal would be awareness, and those 5 lights would be the dynamic energy, which in my opinion, I know that Kunya Galpo that Dorje Legpa is exploring right now is saying a little bit, sounding anyway, maybe we're continuing to explore that too, but sounding like the elements are Sambhoga Kaya, but the elements really, what do you think, Dorje Legpa? I think the elements are more Nirmana Kaya would be associated with that energy. I can't see you. I can't see anybody. So if you're speaking in sign language. Yes, Ozao.
Just to ask something, like when we talk of the elements, they are not something that we are interacting with just by itself, right? Like I don't interact with pure earth or pure air. It's always like mixed up with many things. Or pure
It
fire,
looks
like
like it. It's always it looks like it's intertwined, right? Most of the
yeah,
time. Yep. Except maybe space.
maybe space. Yeah, but even the daily, the sky, the kind of daily version of space, still feels sometimes interconnected with earth and stuff like that. Maybe the pure version, at least like them by itself, refers to the Samgakaya, while the earth that they create together refers to Nirmanakaya. That's just kind of what I felt from that.
Yeah, and I'm okay with however this lands on the individual. There are correct ways, but we're exploring so deep into this territory that if you have different opinions on this stuff, it's okay. But what's important to understand, I suppose, is that clear light awareness is the basis for everything. And so that's equivalent to space. So everything gets mingled in space, but space doesn't get mingled into anything. So Earth is within space, but space isn't within Earth, so to speak. Like I can have a clump of earth here. I can't have a clump of space. And the clump of earth is within space. It can never leave space. And then I can add some water to it. Now I have water and earth within space. So it can be intertwined, but clear light awareness is volumetric and stable. It's like space in terms of it doesn't get mingled into anything. Things get mingled into it, so to speak. All right. So we'll just move on a little bit here. It's a very interesting topic. The five colors getting reified into the five elements and the five kleshas. But I really encourage you all to let the whole body, with all its activity, be in this space-like awareness. That is very, very powerful. So it says, and awareness, awakened mind, is timelessly and spontaneously present as supreme original purity, empty yet lucid. Yeah, so here we have Longchen saying awareness is synonymous with awakened mind. He's done that many times. But awakened mind, awareness, is synonymous with spontaneous presence and pure presence. So notice there it's reversed, but you have pure presence being mentioned, where purity gets associated with emptiness, presence gets associated with cognition or lucidity. So your mind is empty. You cannot find where is this awareness. So it's empty of any location or any kind of substantial existence, but there's a knowingness there. And so when you go on a retreat or something, and maybe you're coming out of the city, to piggyback on our topic. Well, maybe as soon as you leave the city, you start feeling like some stuff is coming off of you already. But then you go into the retreat, and you allow for a kind of deconditioning. Yeah, that's probably the most important part of these retreats. So empty yet lucid, pure presence. At first, we're really in our thoughts. You've spent possibly lifetimes getting used to this and being good at it, according to, like we heard from Ropa in his Donald Hoffman presentation. We've gotten used to this. We have a strong karma with reifying the elements based on desire, based on physicality. So when you come to Dzogchen, you have to acknowledge that. Yeah, it's only honest to say, I'm coming here with some baggage. I've been programmed. If we say, oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Well, you're asking me, what do I do with a poisoned mind? That's like a fully intoxicated person coming to me and saying, I'm ready to drive a car. What do I do? I would be like, I'm not giving you the keys, right? So here you come, very intoxicated to Dzogchen, and you're asking for the keys. First, you got to sober up. Once you've been introduced to awareness, you've seen sobriety. You're like, oh, look, my sober mind. Yeah, that was kind of cool. You go back to being drunk again. I don't know if anybody's laughing, but you have a full right to be. This analogy. Oh, good. So this is what it's like. You're still intoxicated. Eyes are still blurry. You come to the daily live gatherings that we have, and for 10 minutes, you sit here in your drunken stupor, and, oh, I'm sobering up now. I'm letting myself sober up. If you are you're just chugging more alcohol, you know? Or maybe not, maybe it depends where you're at. But typically, we go get involved in the world and all the happenings, and we're just getting more drunk. So once you get introduced to the nature of mind, it's a slow process of sobering up, which I think is why a lot of AA people really resonate with Dzogchen, because it has a lot in common, actually. And so the eyes are starting to become less blurry. The mind is becoming more clear. The more we let it, but we cannot try to figure this out with a drunken mind. With the confused mind. Let it come to you. Let clarity and openness and understanding. Just like you don't need to try to sober up. You just let yourself sober up. You stop drinking and you sober up. And as you sober up, your words get clear. Your mind gets clear. Okay, very good. We're down at the bottom. For some reason, the text. Let's move on. Yeah. Okay, so this is said to be like space. And he's citing cutting through the 3 times Tantra. The ground of all samsara nirvana is awakened mind. The ground of awakened mind is spontaneously present. The essence of spontaneous presence is indeterminate. What is meaningful about spontaneous presence is that it is unborn. So unborn spontaneous presence is free of any time frame with a beginning or end. We talk a lot about this atemporality where we're losing our subscription to time and the bondage therein. There's a lot of restraint, a lot of compartmentalization when it comes to subscription of time. And we recently had a time shift, a time change. And to me, that's criminal. You don't make people believe in time and then shift the time on them. You know? You're shifting people's minds, their entire realities. It's so strange. It's almost alien like how advanced the manipulation goes with this stuff. But like, why are we changing the times? Yeah, Seth, time is a total, it's a chain. It's a huge, heavy chain. And we're not on Wall Street, Ozal. Okay, very good. So, um, I'll just continue. It says without beginning or end. So anytime you find yourself, anytime, you can't get away from it. Even if I say when you find yourself, if you find yourself overly subscribing to time, of course we can have a watch. We can go by, about an hour in our session. All these things, but we're not obsessed with it. We're not ingrained. We're not holding time. We're not keeping time. See, even the words, you're keeping time. Make sure you keep time. So, the essence of all samsara nirvana is awakened mind. The essence of awakened mind arises indeterminately. The indeterminate ground is spontaneously present. What is meaningful about the indeterminacy is that it is unborn. So, what is unborn is indeterminate and free of any time frame with a beginning or end. The ultimate meaning of all samsara and nirvana is awakened mind, so awareness. What is meaningful about awakened mind is that it is unborn. And you can sort of sense the poetry in here that's been, now using these like academic words and everything, and um, but you can still see it a little bit, the underlying poetry of these tantras, because a lot of the scriptures are like that. They were oral before they were written down. And so they're presented in a kind of repetitious, poetic way. And it says the unborn essence is indeterminate. Yeah, Yoshi, if you could keep like what my eye level is here, and mainly because when people comment, it takes up pretty much that whole chunk that I'm reading if you keep it down there. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. And so the unborn essence is indeterminate. What is meaningful about what is unborn is that it does not come into existence. So the unborn, since it has never come into existence, is free of any time frame with a beginning or end. What truly characterizes all samsara and nirvana is awakened mind. What truly characterizes awakened mind is that it is without beginning or end. The beginningless and endless ground is spontaneously present. The beginningless and endless essence is indeterminate. What is meaningful about what is beginningless and endless is that it is unborn. So the very epitome of this does not abide in any specific way and is free of any time frame with a beginning or end. And that's why they call it the fourth time, because it sort of holds all three times. The way of abiding, beginningless and endless, cannot be achieved. So the way things arise, also without beginning or end, cannot be stopped. The way things are, beginningless and endless, cannot be labeled. So the way they are freed, also without beginning or end, is uninterrupted. The uninterrupted nature of phenomenon is the expanse of evenness. So everything abides by its very nature within the expanse of evenness. So this tantra is saying a little bit that, you're not going to stop the power of your mind, the empty appearances of your mind, the energy, the responsiveness of your mind. It's been this way since beginningless time. And we have had all kinds of dreams, I'm sure. You may have dreamed that you were a single cell organism. You may have dreamed that you were a dolphin or a deer. You may have dreamed that you were a homeless person or a powerful king. You may have had all these experiences. And, you can think of that as it can be seen when you start to see atemporality and or see this reality in an atemporal way, then what we know as genetics and evolution become really fascinating, actually. How genetics and karma place us together, and how we're related to other species and in this environment is very, very revealing within awareness, where you have the infinite at your disposal. You have infinite revelation, whereas if you only used conceptual imputations, you'd be quite limited. You'd only have, for example, I always cite the numbers. The English language has, if you count a lot of stuff, about a million words. It's limited, even if you have all the words. And then the average person only knows about 20,000 words, and it's probably getting less. And so, to try to summarize spirituality, reality, the truth into those categories is by default already a fallacy, because you're saying, all right, I have three sticks and I'm going to try to summarize reality with these three sticks. All right, so the ending here says, in spontaneously present awareness, that spontaneous presence is shown to be naturally manifest in three ways, where it can be characterized in three ways: as ground, essence, and ultimate meaningfulness. Wow. So, of course, ground is associated with Dharmakaya, or ground. Maybe there's a different trichotomy here, because ground and essence would be the same. They must be calling essence the nature. So it seems that way anyway. So let's pretend I'm right, and the ground is the Dharmakaya, the essence is the cognition, and so that would mean everything that appears is ultimate meaningfulness. That's interesting. And how does that relate? Well, remember, yeah, she would be all three of those, and so how does that relate? How is everything ultimately meaningful? Because everything that's happening to you is essentially your wisdom heart trying to bring you back home. So even if you get $1 million, that $1 million is there to bring you back to nothingness. It's a lesson, it's a teaching. And if you get in a fight, it's a teaching. If you have happiness and you have a great day, it's a teaching. Until it's not, until you're home. So everything is a hand guiding you home. And we've heard this sort of theme before. You have all these hands that are guiding you home, even if it seems like hell. Okay, everybody. Well, that's our exploration for today. Thanks, Yeshi, again for facilitating that. Yeah, bodhisattvas everywhere. They talk about bodhisattvas that even manifest as bridges and things like that, as little kitties on your lap, all kinds of stuff. Yep, as your mama. That's why in Dzogchen, man, it sucks. You can't blame anybody anymore. You can't you can't point the finger at anybody because they could be a bodhisattva teaching you something within a reasonable scope here. Don't let somebody smack you across the head. Oh, thank you for the teaching. Can you smack me again? Maybe knock out a couple teeth. No, you don't do that. Okay. Yeah, that's why we have the uh, Madhyamaka, the middle way. I think you all, most of you, if not all of you, have this wonderful maturity and can comprehend that. Okay, so any final thoughts, comments, questions before we start to check out today? I think you got it. You're getting it. We got the long tempo vibes going for our early session. It's wonderful. And okay, so we'll end it here. I'll let you all go about your happenings, expand back out into your worlds. Can I ask you something short after session? Yes, you mean you want to meet in the after session? Is it, yeah, we'll go to the MO2 room, okay? You cannot ask here private or something like that? Yeah, she's saying, letting us getting drunk with samsara again. Yeah. Well, I've equipped you with sobriety. Ozal, go ahead.
Could you repeat? I couldn't hear the last sentence you
Is
said.
this something private or can you ask here?
Oh no, it was just kind of irrelevant. Okay, I can ask here. I was just gonna ask, would you maybe like to do a little, kind of sudden like write up for the Tonglen and the 5 elements practices, kind of like a PDF again. I feel that would be really helpful.
Tonglen or Togya?
Tonglen.
Oh,
The Dzogchen Tonglen plus the 5 elements. Maybe like a little 2 page, maybe kind of something like that. Would that be
okay.
cool in your opinion?
I can try to maybe.
Okay. Super.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
didn't need to meet in private for that.
No, no, yeah, I just didn't wanna disrupt the topic and question.
I know
Okay,
you're
thank
being
you.
compassionate. You all are very, very compassionate. I have never learned how to communicate with people or not be feral. So I'm learning that now from you all, and I'm very happy about that. I'm learning communication so much. And yeah, I see a lot deeper into our communications lately, and it's wonderful. And I see that you all are so compassionate, and sometimes I need, when people share, I just need to say that that's so high vibe and beautiful. I appreciate it. Thank you for your sharing. That's all I need to say right there. So easy. So Alicia's saying the guidance for the elements doesn't have the wisdoms associated. Would you add it to make something else? Are you asking if I should add that? The idea for me leaving the wisdoms out is to leave that ineffable. Yeah. So, I'm letting. Yeah, I think you got it. We're just dealing with what's here, and then once you say green, that label green falls away, and there's the wisdom of what is it? All accomplishing wisdom associated with green. So the wisdoms in a nonlinear asymmetrical way start to breathe by letting be. So the wisdoms are there. They're just kind of secret. All right. So any merit today, any goodness that has come from this gathering, any benefit? There are beings in this very presence that are suffering. We'll take a moment of silence to give it all to them. And deep bow to you, everybody. Have a beautiful day.